My name is Zainab, and I am one of the customer success managers here at Kahoot. We will be starting our Kahoot 101 this morning. I see 18 people in the attendees. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and start off by joining a Kahoot, and I'm going to pull that up on our screen right now so you guys can start joining in as we get settled and give everybody else a couple of minutes to join in. The best way to join in this Kahoot would be by logging in through the cell phone app. But if you don't have the cell phone app, you can just go ahead and scan the QR code on my screen that I'm just going to put up in a second. And you can join by scanning the QR code and clicking on the link that it opens in the browser. It's going to land directly on your Kahoot game page. So I'm going to actually show you guys how I'm starting this game as I start it. So just show me by raise of hands when you can see my screen, so we know that we're all good. Awesome. So this is how you start a live game on Kahoot. We'll look at it again as we're going through the game or the training itself, but you start the game and then you pick whether you want to play player versus player in classic mode or team versus team in team mode. We're going to do the classic mode today. I'm also going to go ahead and make sure that you guys are able to see all the questions and answers, full media, everything, an exact replica of my screen on your cell phones. And I'm also going to turn on player identifier. So it's going to ask you for your email address. It's not going to be displayed on the screen, but it will be available to me as the host on the backend report so that I can contact you afterwards to congratulate the player winners and also offer them some Kahoot swag. So do participate. There are a bunch of other settings here that we can take a look at a later point, but I'm going to turn that on, go to classic mode, and now the game will automatically give you a game pin, which you can put on this address, or you can simply go ahead and scan this QR code on the screen.
Our game-based learning platform is used by millions of people all over the world: teachers, students, company employees, and lifelong learners. Kahoot makes it easy to create fun learning games or trivia quizzes in minutes, anytime, anywhere. We call them Kahoots. It works for any subject, in any language.
So as you start scanning the QR code and adding in your name and email address, your names will start popping in here. I highly recommend joining the game because that is the best way of getting the most out of this 45 minutes to an hour that you're going to be spending with us today. Now, as you see the names popping up on the screen and as you're joining, you'll see that they're kind of silly, kind of funny. The magic rabbit, the friendly iguana. So people aren't putting in those names themselves. This is a tool called the nickname generator that I've kept turned on just to keep things a little bit more fun. There are two very good applications for this. The first is people don't have to type in their name. It comes up with a fun, highly appropriate and interesting name. So that adds a little bit of levity to your game. And then the second is if you keep the player identifier turned off as well, it becomes completely anonymous if that's what you wanted to do. So it's very good for getting feedback from people, particularly if you have, something serious to talk about, some subject that is going to be perhaps a little bit difficult for people to give feedback on. You can do a Kahoot and have this feature turned on so they know it's anonymous, and it's also kind of fun. So it adds a little bit of lightness to the overall interaction. Now I see that there are 13 people on the game. So I'm going to just take one more minute to do introductions and then we'll dive right in. Again, my name is Zainab. I'm a customer success manager on the Kahoot for Work sales team. I'm based out of Austin, and so is my counterpart, Galilea, who's also on this meeting today and is able to answer any of your questions in chat. So she will be moderating the chat for us.
on any
And
device.
anything that you have,
also
just feel
discover
free to
that
paste it
existing
in there.
pages,
I'll take a
there
few
are
minutes at
millions
the
of pages
end
in
of
our
the
library.
session today to answer
Kahoot
those
can be played in
questions,
a
but
live
we will
setting,
be answering them
question
side
on
by
a big
side
screen,
as we go.
or on your mobile device where you see questions
Hey
and answers.
everyone, I hope you enjoy our session today. And I do see some raised hands already still. I think it's from when we asked people to raise hands, so disregard. But yeah, feel free to use the chat. I'll be in there.
Let's play.
Yep. So go ahead and feel free to continue putting your questions
Hi,
in there. I'm gonna go and hit start, and I'm gonna leave this game unlocked, which means that everyone can continue joining in with the pin that's gonna be displayed on the screen even after the game starts. If I lock the game, people won't be able to join after it starts. So I'm gonna leave it unlocked and hit the start button. I'm gonna go full screen because that is the best experience. So welcome Kahoot. Welcome everyone to Kahoot. We're gonna take a look today at how to navigate your Kahoot account, how to create Kahoot content, and how to host live games. And because we're playing a Kahoot, of course, there are questions. So just to get us started, warming up this morning, which TV shows are you enjoying these days or wanting to watch? I was going to ask which TV shows you're binge watching, but I was like, maybe not everyone does that. So you see on the screen that there is a timer running down, and also how many people have already answered the question. You can also see how many slides or questions there are left on the screen in the game at any given time. Oh, someone's rewatching Game of Thrones or watching for the first time. Thank you for all the good ideas. Yes, I still need to watch Weep. It looks really good. Simpsons, Blacklist, K-dramas. I don't know about Blacklist. I'm so conflicted about that show. But thank you. This is now going to keep me busy for several weekends. I appreciate it. So like we said earlier, my name is Zainab. We have my counterpart, Galilea. We're both part of the customer success team. And we are based in Austin. So it is very nice weather for us today. We've broken our 100-degree streak. We have some rain finally. If anyone else is in Texas and got rain, congratulations. We're going to start off by understanding who we have in the audience. So how well do you guys know Kahoot? Nice. So there are a bunch of people that know Kahoot, to a certain degree, and then someone or at least two people don't know Kahoot at all. So this is going to be a great place for you to get started from because we cover all the basics. Next up, let's try to get an understanding of who we have in terms of roles in the organization. What do you guys do? Are you trainers? Are you content creators, managers? It's always interesting to see how everyone in the organization can and does use Kahoot, but just slightly differently. Oh, this is so interesting. Nonprofit founder, the biggest role amongst our audience today is trainer, which makes a lot of sense, but you also have employee engagement, designer, legal ops. Okay, I have to follow up with whoever is doing legal ops because that through Kahoot sounds so fun. Events manager, trainer for adults, training associate, community engagement. Very, very interesting. I'm seeing a couple of things that I have not seen before. So I'd be very interested in learning how you use Kahoot. If you could just put that in chat, I'm sure it's going to give us a lot of ideas. How you use Kahoot as a nonprofit founder and as someone in legal operations. So first we have a brainstorm for double points. And we're going to look at how are you currently using Kahoot or how do you intend to use Kahoot? So this is going to give us a bunch of ideas. This is a very good exercise for people who are new to Kahoot. who haven't yet figured out exactly how many ways they can apply this to their team engagements. And then also very good exercise for people who have been using Kahoot, but could always use new ideas. So you're going to see a dialog box on your screen with 75 characters, and you'll have multiple boxes to put in your ideas. And you want to share your either how you're using it right now or how you would like to use it. And then once everyone has added their answers, we'll be able to see them on the screen. Brainstorm is a really good tool for making sure that everyone gets a voice in an engagement. Everyone gets to share their opinion without taking too much time. You could have 100 people in a meeting, and yet within a couple of minutes, everyone's opinions will be on the screen. And the system has a certain degree of artificial intelligence where it can bring similar words together. So you can group together pretty much the same thing that different people said. So you'll start off with a very large number of cards. Each card is an idea that someone submitted. It's very much like being in a physical room, typing it out or writing it out in a sticky note and going and sticking it on the whiteboard so everyone sees it. But once you see all the ideas, you can group them together. So you end up with 4 or 5 larger groups as opposed to, dozens of cards. And once you see those 4 or 5 larger groups, you get a very clear idea of what the opinion or thought process is, what your audience is thinking. And if all you wanted to do was get that idea, then you're done. You have all that information. It's stored in the reports. You don't have to take notes. You can just go back and look at everyone's ideas in the reports afterwards. But if you wanted to make a decision on, in this case, for example, what's the first thing you're going to do with Kahoot, how you're going to use it, or this could be very different on, product timelines, training timelines, quarterly planning. You can also ask people to vote on the ideas that have been offered. So let's see, to implement learning strategies and training, checking learning comprehension in a fun way. So I'm going to put all the training together and all the quizzes together. Liven up virtual training, create training material. Ooh, customer service week. This is nice. Employee engagement, staff meetings, icebreakers, entertaining program for the library. This is also very interesting. Education presentations for adults and youth. I'm going to put that in training. Icebreakers, we're going to put those all together. Crowdsourcing ideas, so this is exactly how you would crowdsource ideas. Brainstorm is the perfect application for that. I'm going to put team building together, explaining complex concepts in a fun, accessible way. That makes a lot of sense. Checking knowledge, monitor learning, gamifying community engagement, and Okay, so let's see, we'll put these together, meetings, different staff events, I'll put that in meetings, entertaining program for the library, I'll put that in meetings, I'll put fun trivia in meetings, team building is also kind of a meeting, gamify community engagement for our CLT work. I'll put that with customer service just for one-off events. So like a specific event that you're thinking of. Put community engagement in meetings. I'll put this, which is checking or testing knowledge. I'm going to bring that down here and add it in here. So now I have these larger groups. Team building. I'm going to put policy review in the one-off event section as well. Here, policy review. I'm going to put crowdsourcing in the one-off events as well. So now I have 4 larger groups of ideas. This one is all about training. This one's all about specific events. This one's all about meetings and engagement and having fun with the team. And this one's about quizzes. So now I'm going to ask you guys to vote. The idea behind this is that you now get to choose what is the most important use for you, or how you're going to first use Kahoot, how you're most likely to use Kahoot. And in your real life applications, what this could mean is you have everyone's ideas for the next quarter, and then you decide what happens first, or you do your quarterly planning. Or what is the next training session going to be about? Everyone puts in their ideas, and then you decide what the first topic is going to be. So it's a very good brainstorming and decision-making tool. One thing you'll notice, there's always a skip button here while the timer is running. So sometimes if you feel like you're not getting any more responses, you can also skip the rest of the time. You don't have to always wait for the timer to completely clock down. Okay, so the bronze badge, or the lowest number of ideas, went to the testing knowledge, and then another one went to implement learning. The silver badge went to icebreakers and different training topics. And then the top one went to employee engagement, staff meetings, fun, which makes a lot of sense because Kahoot makes learning awesome. So there is the whole idea is fun and engagement. And now that you have seen who the winners are, when you saw the ideas before, they were anonymous. You didn't see the names. Now you can see the names also because you can no longer be biased. By seeing the names of who the authors are for different ideas, you could previously have been influenced to vote for a certain idea because, your boss gave the idea or your friend gave the idea, but we keep it anonymous at that point. And now that the badges have been awarded and you know who the winning ideas are from, now you can see the names of the authors. That had points. So people who had winning ideas earned points. So you can now see also a scoreboard. So Blue Goose is very near the top. So diving into Kahoot and what it does, you have 10 different question types in Kahoot. So the first decision to make is, are you sharing knowledge or are you engaging or are you wanting to do a combination of both? You can engage your audience by asking different question types. You have 5 for testing knowledge. So they come with a concept of right versus wrong answer. And then you have another 5 for collecting opinions. There isn't a concept of right or wrong because they are everyone's opinions, but you can earn points for brainstorm type questions when your ideas get voted as a popular or winning idea. So all of these come with points. You can choose to not have points, but there is always an option. And the idea is to get the scoreboard changing, get everybody engaged, because when you're answering a question, if you get it right, you earn points. And if you answer it faster than others, you earn higher points than others because the points decrease linearly over time. So the longer you take, the lower your score will be, even though you got the answer right. So there's an added layer of engagement. It makes sure that all the players or learners are engaged to the point where they're paying attention and they're eager to answer really fast. So they're on their toes. The edge of the seat kind of situation. So you can choose whether you're testing their knowledge. Is there a right or wrong answer to this question? Or are you just collecting an opinion and wanting to hear people out? The other thing you can do with Kahoot is build out an entire presentation. We have 10 PowerPoint style layouts, so you can build your presentation within Kahoot if you don't already have one, or if you have your presentation built into PowerPoint, or if you prefer using Google Slides or Keynotes, or you have material in PDF, all of that can be imported into Kahoot. So you don't have to always build things from scratch. If you have material that, most teams have training stuff, you can just import that into Kahoot and then move the slides around to have a question that pops up after every 2 or 3 slides of, training knowledge, or for 5 to 10 minutes of speaking from a trainer, we recommend just having a question pop up to keep people engaged. And then what you're seeing in the background of my Kahoot right now is our summer theme. So we have seasonal or festive Kahoot themes that just add life to the entire presentation. Instead of having a boring background that is plain color or solid color, you can choose from one of the themes that we offer. So when you're in the creator, you can go to themes and just pick anyone and save the Kahoot with it. Or when you're playing a Kahoot and you see these settings, you can also pick a theme and that applies to the game. So for example, you have training material and that's just saved in the system, but it is Christmas and there is a Christmas theme available in the system. Just go ahead and apply that for now. If you are, talking about the New Year or St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's, whatever's happening in the world, you may not be even doing anything that's related to that subject, but just to stay current with the world, you can go ahead and apply any of those themes. And that's how easy it is. So you can either save a Kahoot with a specific theme or just pick one when you're playing the game, just depending on what's going on at that point. So one more question. How many question types does Kahoot offer? This question type, the slider, is one of our new releases. I absolutely love using this. I love the whole game, sort of a game show feel of the slider running from one number to another. So how many question types do we offer? So I see that there are more answers popping up over here. When everyone has answered, the system will automatically end the timer. But again, just to point out, if you don't see the answers going up, for example, if I sit here and I watch it stay at 16 for another 10 seconds, I can go ahead and skip the timer as well. I'm going to give it 5 seconds and I'll show you what the skip timer does. Ta-da! So we don't have to always wait till the end of the timer. There you go. That was the correct answer. And 2 people, oh no, only 2 people got it right. That's sad. There are 10 question types, 5 for testing knowledge and 5 for collecting opinions. Let's see how the scoreboard changed. Did it not change? People in the lead are still in the lead? What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? I also believed it was coffee. The first time I played this, I was so sure it was coffee, but interestingly, it is tea. It's coffee for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hop out of here and into our actual Kahoot platform. Playing Kahoot is always fun and I absolutely love it. But I also want to go ahead and give you guys a full demo of the platform. So when we log into Kahoot, the first thing we see is our dashboard. Now, the one thing that has slightly changed, so if you're new, this isn't going to be confusing at all, but if you've used Kahoot before, this is a change that I would want to make sure that you guys understand and is highlighted. These little icons on the top left corner are your workspaces. So if your organization or your company bought a Kahoot license for you and you're now starting to use it, it's going to be in the second box here. I'm part of multiple organizations, so I have more than one box. But what any typical user would see is a first box, which is their personal workspace, and a second box, which is their organization's workspace. Think of this as a private account and this one as a company account. I've gone ahead and added my picture from going into my avatar and selecting this. That just makes it easier for me to understand that this is my personal space and this is the Kahoot space. So this is where my company license is. This is where I get my 360 Spirit Premium subscription, and that comes with all of the features that the system has to offer. This one is a perk of having a Kahoot paid account. It is a free space that you can use with your friends, family, just yourself playing trivia games on the Discover tab. And it is completely disconnected from the business stuff. So if you were in your workspace and you went to Discover and you were playing a bunch of games, there will be a record of those reports somewhere. So we want you to be able to have this personal space where you go into Discover and play all the Friends trivia that you want. And yes, I specifically said Friends trivia because I love it. But other than that, there is a lot of other there's fun material, but there's also other learning material, like legitimately finding out new concepts, learning more details about them. There is someone at Microsoft whose job is to sit down and create content for Kahoot. There's someone at NASA who sits down and creates Kahoots that are then made available over here. And it's a lot of really good information just depending on what your interests are. It's also a very good place for finding inspiration if you are a new user and are about to create your own Kahoots. So you can play some of these games and you can see how they've added videos, how they've added GIFs, how they've added images, and you can get inspiration from all of the materials that are available in the Discover tab. So if you wanted to host a trivia night with your friends this weekend, this is the place to find the trivia from. If you wanted to have a social hour with your team this Friday, this is the place to find the content from. You don't have to build anything from scratch. You can take any of this. For example, let's say movies trivia. Or actually, someone had said they're watching Game of Thrones. So I'm going to say Game of Thrones. So this one's been played by over 100,000 players. And you can look at what the different questions are, but also you can go ahead and edit this. It's not going to let you edit the actual content because, ownership rights, but you can create a duplicate copy of it and edit this and change it any way you want. And then play it with your friends. So a ton of material that's already available for you to play and make use of. And then in your organizational space, you could do the same for work-related concepts. Now, all the paid features are available in your workspace, and the library in your personal and workspace, they look the same because that's what the format of the platform is, but they're very different. The content in your library here. So you see all of these randomly named sample Kahoots, very different from the library here. Proper names, actual Kahoots. So the library in the organizational space is protected. It is owned by the company. It is real material, and it's going to be protected in the sense that you cannot take it out and put it in your personal space. So just depending on what you're wanting to do, if you're wanting to use Kahoot for personal reasons, use this. If you're wanting to use Kahoot for work reasons, always make sure you're in the right workspace, and then you can access the correct library. So you have the Discover tab to get inspiration from. The library is where all of your content lives. Your My Folder is something that you're working on and are not yet ready to share. The admins will still be able to access it because, they're the administrators for the company account. But other members will not be able to see it. So regular users can't have access to the stuff that's in your personal folder or My Folder. And this is a space for you to work on things that are work in progress. Once they're ready, you can put them in the team folder. Everyone that has a license to your account will be able to see the materials that are in the team folder, and you can organize it any way you want and have folders within folders to the nth degree if that's how you want to organize stuff. So every Kahoot that you create is going to live in the library, either in your personal folder or on your team's folder. And once you host a Kahoot, a report will automatically be generated under this tab. So you can see, as an admin, you can see all the reports for every single Kahoot that was ever hosted in this account. As a member, which is a regular user, you'll be able to see Kahoot reports for stuff that you've hosted. So all the courses that I've hosted, all the live games that I've hosted. And then if I'm part of a game that I've played, but it wasn't hosted by someone I didn't host it, I just played it. I can also see reports for those. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the Create page. This is visible regardless of where you are. The Create tab is always listed here. I'm going to hop in here and create a new Kahoot. I can start from scratch or from one of these really fun templates that are already available in the system. These templates give you guidance on what kind of material that you can add, and it helps you with the flow of the Kahoot itself. If I start from scratch, I could either add slides. So if I have a training already, I can go ahead and import that from my computer. It can be a maximum of 100 slides or 80 MB. So that's one thing to remember. Every Kahoot has a 100 slide limit, and the file that you import can be a max of 80 MBs. It can be PowerPoint, the latest PPTX version, Keynote, PDF. You can build it in Google Slides and download it as PowerPoint and import it in here. So there's a lot of flexibility in where you can get materials in from. Once you've imported the slides, you can move them around, drag them up and down. I'm going to go ahead and add a big media slide. So there are a bunch of different formats, but I'm going to add a big media slide. And I'm going to go ahead and add a video from YouTube. So I have a lot of media options. I have a built-in Getty Images and Unsplash library. So if I go in here and search for Kahoot, this is the stuff that turns up. There are GIFs and stickers available as well. And then there are videos from YouTube and Vimeo. So I'm going to pick this.
First, Kahoot is
5-minute
a
guide.
game-based.
But it's 5 minutes and I want to show all 5 minutes. So I can say, okay, it starts from 20 seconds and I want it to end at 1 minute. Those are the 40 seconds that I want to play in this video. And I'll slide it to the top. I can also add another one that's just like a title slide. So again, I'm going to go into my stickers. I'm going to search for Kahoot. Let's see, which one do I like? This one's nice. That's what I wish the weather was like. And then let's say Kahoot 101, and then the agenda. So I can move this to the top, then there's a video, and now I can ask the question. So my question can be, how many question types does Kahoot have? For the lack of imagination. I can add another image here. So let's say I search for Kahoot again, and this is our mascots. I'm going to put this in here, and then I can either type the answer, or if I was feeling a little funny, I would go ahead and search for images for my answers as well. I could also just import an image from my computer. I could also have stickers instead of images. So a bunch of other options are available. I then choose what the right answer is. I can add up to 6 different options on the quiz type question. I'm going to give people anywhere between 5 seconds to 4 minutes to answer this. So I'll stick with 20 seconds. That seems reasonable. It can be a standard point, so that's 1,000, double points, that's 2,000, or no points at all. I have a bunch of questions in the Kahoot that we're playing that has no points. So when you go to the scoreboard after the question, the scoreboard doesn't change. The double points is a really good way of shaking up the scoreboard. So if you have, somebody that is doing really well and is somewhere near the top 3 and they get one answer wrong, they can really drop in position. Similarly, if someone's not in the top 5 and they knew this one question and they answered real fast, they can really climb the scoreboard to the top. So this is very good for shaking up whatever the status quo is looking like on the scoreboard. And then you can also just stick with standard, which is 1,000. For quiz type questions, you can have more than one correct answer. So I could choose both of these as correct and then just have another option for this. So this one's incorrect and both these are correct. This is a very, very nice tool that gets overlooked a little bit sometimes. It is the image reveal. So if you wanted to offer a hint of what the answer is, you could just go ahead and put this in here. And Galileo hosted this really fun Kahoot the other day where the image was, I think it was a waffle, and we had to take guesses on what it was. So whoever was able to pick up on it the fastest, eventually everyone will see the image, it's going to reveal itself, but whoever was able to figure it out the fastest got the highest point. So there's a lot of fun applications. In the simplest way of using this would be you have the image of the answer in here so that even if somebody didn't have the knowledge, they would eventually be able to see what it was and pick the right answer. So they earned some points, lower than the others who knew the answer, but still some points. It's also very easy to switch between question types. So I'm going to go from how many question types does Kahoot have to just saying Kahoot has 10 question types. And is that true or is that false? And then telling the system that the answer is true. So you can switch from that to type answer, just, what is the correct answer? They'll need to type it out. This is the one that I used, which was the slider. And then there's also a puzzle. This one's really good for prioritization. So, arrange in the order of importance, arrange in the order of preference. If there's a process, how would you get ABC done? Step 1, step 2, step 3, or it could be about chronological order. What happens first in order for this process to move forward? So a lot of different applications. You can have between 3 to 4 steps in the process. So those are all for testing knowledge. And then for collecting opinions, there's poll, which looks very much like quiz, but there's no right or wrong answer. You just select what your opinion is, and there is an immediate quantified response at the end when everyone has submitted their answer. So you can see what percentage responded with what option, and you've seen an example of that during the game that we're playing. There's word cloud. This was the question type we used when you told me what your different roles were. So it gives you 20 characters. It's a single word, and whichever word was entered the most, it looks bigger. So it's easy to see what the common thoughts are. And then if you want to hear a little bit more than just 20 characters, you want to have a little bit of an opinion submitted from the audience, then you can use the open-ended question type. So that's 250 characters. And then we did a brainstorm question where we pulled in our ideas of how we would use Kahoot and then voted on those ideas. So this is where you would set it up, and you can give people 2 minutes, anywhere between 30 seconds to 4 minutes. You can have points or no points for winning ideas, and you can ask for 1, 2, or 3 ideas per player. So those are your different question types that you can use for engaging your audience. You can add different slides, import them, move stuff around on the screen. If there's something missing in any one of your questions, it's going to point out. So there's a little bit of ongoing quality check the system is doing. Once you've made sure that the Kahoot is complete, you can go ahead and save it. So I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to give it a name. I can pick an image for this to give it like a thumbnail when it's saved in the library. I can describe what it's about. This is really good for when you have creators that are different from facilitators in different L&D teams. So you can describe when to use this. This is part of the new hire orientation. This is to be used on day 3. Whatever that description is, you can choose where to save it in your personal or your team folders or any subfolder under there. This is my favorite part about Kahoots. You can actually have a video that plays in the lobby. The lobby is where everyone's joining the game, where you see the game pin, the QR code, and everyone's still joining and you're waiting for them to join. You can make really good use of that time by having any orientation video or training video put up here. And then while people are joining, that time isn't being wasted. You're not having to make small talk. People are just sitting there watching that video. And, it could be a 5-minute video. Once everyone's watched, you can start the game. It's always going to be saved by default as part of your organization. So everyone in your org that's a member, has a license, can log into your account, will be able to see it. You can choose to allow duplication or say nobody else can make copies of my Kahoot. And then you can choose what music the Kahoot's going to play with. Once I'm done with the settings, I can go ahead and save this. I can test this immediately, which is a really good tool because it simulates the cell phone version within the same browser. And I can go ahead and see, okay, here's what it's going to look like on my host screen, and here's what it's going to look like on my player screen. So I don't have to use 2 devices. It's going to show me the entire experience within the same device. I can play the whole game over here if I want. Or I can say, okay, I'm done with this. This is saved. Great. What's the next thing for me to do? I can either host this live, like I am hosting this other game that you're a part of right now, or I can assign this to participants. Assigning it means it's a self-paced game. So people don't need to be present in real time. It doesn't have to be over Zoom. There doesn't have to be a meeting. So no coordination, no trying to get everyone book out the same spot on their calendar. You say, okay, well, guys, I need you all to fill this out. It could be a feedback form. It could be a process update. It could be a pre-training evaluation before they come to your class next week. It could be a post-training evaluation, for example, for new hire trainees that were that graduated new hire training 2 weeks ago. And now you want to check how they're doing on their jobs, and you want to grab some feedback, or you want to see, did they really absorb the information? How well are they doing utilizing the knowledge that was given to them? So you can say, okay, I'm sending this out today. I need you all to fill it out by Friday at the end of the day. And it's going to be timed. I need everyone to put in their email addresses. And I'm going to keep the nickname generator turned off because I want you to put in your names, and I'll create the assignment, which basically creates a report. And that report continues to get populated with responses that people are putting in. So I can add learners to this assignment by either typing up an email and sending it off to all the people that are going to be or are supposed to be taking that assignment. I can create groups in the system, like email distributions to use, or I can just paste the email addresses over here. I can import them from an Excel file if I want, but I can have specific learners added as part of an email. So let me go ahead and add one, so you can see what that looks like. So now Zainab's been populated over here. She hasn't started playing yet. I can also go ahead and take this link and put it in my MS Teams or Slack or wherever the general communication is. Just put it on that channel, and people can just play it whenever they get a chance, and their responses will get populated over here. So I don't have to choose who gets it. I can just throw it out in the channel, and everyone that sees it can do it. Another thing I can do is just download this QR code. This one's very good for sharing before an event. Or if you have a physical event, you can take printouts of these QR codes and put them up in your physical event space, and people can scan those and take that Kahoot challenge. So for example, if you were having a conference, you could put these up in a lot of different spots. People could scan these, be part of the Kahoot challenge or assignment, and at the end of the conference, you could, share the winners or the leaderboard. Everyone's responses will get added here. There's a player scorecard, and then you see what the responses for each particular questions were. We'll take a look at the report for the game that we are playing today. This is a really good time to add any questions that you have to chat, because we're going to be wrapping up real soon. So we've done an overview of Kahoot, a very basic, how to navigate your account, what question types are available, how can you host a game. So we saw at the start how we were hosting the game live, and now we saw how we can host it self-paced. The idea for this webinar is to give you a basic, and of course we can go into more detail. If you have ideas on what topics you want to talk about, throw them in chat. But just for the basic understanding, how well do you feel that you know Kahoot now as opposed to before we started the session? Okay, I'll give it another 5 seconds and then I'll skip the rest of the timer. 2, 1, ta-da, skip. Okay, so a lot of people feel slightly better. A lot of people feel that they know the system a lot better. I am so glad no one said same as before. Thank you so much. Now, open-ended, what is one key takeaway from today's session? Something new that you learned, some new idea that you gained, any opinion that you formed? We'd love to hear that, because that gives us a really good idea of how this webinar is being helpful. Again, I'm going to give it another 5 seconds, and when we're down to 10 seconds, I'll go ahead and skip. Just want to make sure that, oh, well, it's 10 more seconds. We won't skip. I do want to make sure that we hear everyone out. We got one more response. I'm so glad I didn't skip. So once people have submitted their responses to open-ended questions, it does get displayed on the screen and you can choose whether you want to show them or not. So I'm going to go ahead and show answers. This visual is a little bit similar to Brainstorm, but the difference is you get to pick the highlight of your response in this case. You pick one special word. So what did we learn today? Kahoot can be used for training, not just games. Yes, it definitely can be. And your trainings can turn into fun games. So someone learned that you could import presentation slides, you can skip the timer. I thought it was cool that music and video can be added to the lobby, but I love that feature. Duplicating Kahoots and editing them, using polls and brainstorming, how to enter a slideshow to the game, how to use pictures for answers. I love that feature. This one, so good. Assigning trainings as opposed to just always doing them live, nickname generator, how to lock a Kahoot, training evaluation sent by email, options of PowerPoint style, visual aid, or presentation, and having videos in virtual lobby. Cool that you can build a presentation within Kahoot. Didn't realize there are sections such as Discover with great content. Oh, the Discover is like a little wonderland. You have hundreds of thousands of Kahoots that are just waiting for you to come in and play. And you can even make copies and edit them. I had no idea there are so many options and that you can sync your own presentation with Kahoot. You absolutely can. The other thing that we don't cover in the 101, it's more of an advanced topic, but you can also embed Kahoot inside a PowerPoint presentation. So some people prefer for Kahoot to be the main tool, and that's where you're doing the whole presentation. But others prefer for PowerPoint to be the main tool. So you can go ahead and take your Kahoot game and embed it within a slide on your PowerPoint game or presentation. There are resources available online on our help site that explain how to do it, but it is very simple. It is literally just one button that you need to click, and you can embed a Kahoot over there. So you can use it either way.
Zainab, before we roll out the winners bracket there, could you show people where the show questions and answers setting lives? We had some questions on that.
Yeah, of course. So when you are hosting a Kahoot and you're starting the game, you have these settings, this little toggle. It stays on the screen for pretty much the entire game, except for when questions are being asked. And over here, you can toggle this on or off.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to go ahead and show the podium, and then I'm still here if you have more questions. The Arctic lizard in the third place, the friendly iguana in the second place, and the winner is Blue Goose. Congratulations, Blue Goose. Someone from our team will be reaching out to you soon. There's also number 4 and number 5, but you will be contacted by someone from our team, and we will give you a link where you can redeem some basic Kahoot swag and have it delivered to your place. Thank you so much for participating, everyone. Ebony, I'm reading the chat, and Ebony says, giggled at Phil's, figured was meant as polls. I read it out loud as polls because I wanted to make sure that Lisa had said polls, so I read it out loud like that, but I also giggled kind of inside. Thank you so much for participating, everybody, and for sharing your feedback and thoughts and ideas. Chris, you're most welcome. I'm glad it was informative. If you have any more questions that you want to ask, now would be the time. But other than that, you can also just reach out to the customer success manager that is assigned to your account if you have one. If you don't have a direct point of contact, if you don't have a direct customer success manager, you can always reach out to our support team. If you go to our website, there is a help center that you can easily access. It has answers to pretty much all the Kahoot questions that you can think of, and it also has a space for you to contact support. So I highly encourage you to get in touch with people, ask questions, engage with the platform, and we will be more than happy to share more information about it. Nadia mentioned that she's seen there are special fees for non-government organizations. So reach out to business@kahoot.com and mention that you were part of the webinar and ask them for the NPO pricing. There are discounts. I think you have to provide some documentation for your status, but there are discounts. So just reach out to business@kahoot.com and they'll be able to offer you the special pricing. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, but you have our email address to contact us. That's where you got the invitation email from. So feel free to reply back to those emails if you have any more questions. Ebony was the magic rabbit. I am so glad to know that. I will be looking forward to seeing you guys again. So if you have ideas on what other topics we could host, what other information we could share in these webinars, feel free to share that feedback with us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.